Mr. Нимиц, 3 years have passed since the Prespa agreement, but for many Macedonians the addition of the name is still unacceptable. Do you think this solution is fair enough for us?
Well, I do. I think it's a fair solution. I think it's a good solution. Let me start off by saying it was a compromise, correct? So when there's a compromise, there's always some give and some take. I think the name Republic of North Macedonia is a really fine name. I mean, it was a compromise, but as a name, it's an excellent name. It has Macedonia as the heart of the name, and the North is a fair, legitimate adjective describing the geography. Nothing wrong with it at all. It's a fine name, so people should not feel at all embarrassed about it. And the Macedonian tradition lives on. The agreement has other things that solidify the right to be Macedonian, that the language is the Macedonian language in terms of the agreement with Greece, which is widely accepted in the world.
Apart from ours, there are obligations in the agreement for Greece as well, but we see that they do not respect them in full. For example, the road signs still say Skopje. Is there a mechanism in the contract for this?
I'm pleasantly surprised at how well implementation has gone over in general, because acceptance of this, changing lots of documents, changing signs, I know the passport is now changed. These things take time, effort, a lot of people's work on both sides. The major issues on implementation on the Greek side were issues like NATO, issues like economic relationship, pipeline opening new ways of transport between the two countries, lots of issues like this, international. I think Greece has complied, and even with a change of government there, which I think is really important, that the government, the Tsipras government fell, and the new government, which did not support the agreement in Parliament originally, has been very proper and correct in dealing with it. So I think on the whole, there's been good implementation. There are certain areas where issues have been raised, and there is a mechanism, diplomatic mechanism, for dealing with issues, and this will take time in certain areas, especially areas of sensitivity. This will work its way out. If the worst problem is the problem of a couple of road signs, then we're not in bad shape, you know.
In the past month, Greece has at several times complained about the use of the adjective Macedonian and the name of the Macedonian Football Federation, which, although a private entity, at one time received financial assistance from the state. Is the adjective Macedonian controversial under the agreement?
Yeah, it is controversial, and there'll be lots of little issues like this. You know, it's great sensitivity. So we have actually a section in the agreement dealing with this issue of when names have to be changed and when names don't have to be changed, and the issue of whether it's connected with the state or whether it's completely private. So we discussed this, I could say as mediator, we discussed this for hours and hours and hours, and the language in the agreement is relatively clear, but needs to be interpreted in each time. And there are many situations like these sports situations where the line between what is private and what is public is not totally clear, because it does refer to use of public funding and the agreement. I don't have it in front of me, but that's one of the tests. So we worked very hard on this, and there's a lot of sensitivity about it. And you can understand in Greece, that whenever they see Macedonian by itself, this excites them in a certain way. And the fact that your football team has been so successful makes it, I congratulate you on a relatively successful team. I was very proud. I was very happy. My friends were always calling me up and saying, "Oh, your friends, they associate me with North Macedonia, so they telephone me to congratulate me if you win a game." But it was a fair point. It has to be worked out. I think it is sensitive, and the country is North Macedonia, and the team it represents North Macedonia. So I think the right answer is probably to make that change.
The issue of identity and language was not part of the Prespa agreement, but Bulgaria puts them on the negotiating table. Can such a thing be negotiated, and do you, as a mediator, know such an example in the world?
Look, these issues are unique. They're unique. There's some situations that are somewhat similar, but not very similar. So, the Prespa agreement does refer to language, and it doesn't use the word identity because it's not a legal word. The Macedonian language has been accepted for a long time. All around the world, people know there's a Macedonian language. The issue with Greece was not anything about the language. It was about the name of the language. In other words, the Greek side did not have any problem that you have a very fine language, a unique language. But their problem was to call it the Macedonian language. It gave the impression that it might have something to do with the ancient Macedonians. The issue with Bulgaria is a different issue as to the origin of languages. I'm not an expert on that. This was not an issue in the Prespa agreement, but it is an issue that they like to talk about. So that's a subject for discussion.
Yes, but do you know such an example? Can you negotiate for someone's identity, for his inner feeling of belonging?
You can't. Between Greece and North Macedonia, there were inner feelings. There are still inner feelings, as you point out. People in North Macedonia still feel emotional about it. And the people in Greece, especially in the Macedonian region of Greece, still feel emotional about it. You don't legislate about emotions, but what you can reach agreement about is how you speak about it, how you articulate it about it, and with respect for other people's point of view, insensitive historical or emotional things.
Would you undertake to be a mediator for such a dispute?
One mediation in a lifetime is enough. Also, if this mediation, or the solution with Bulgaria should not take 20 years. It shouldn't even take 20 months, in my view. But someone should, the two countries should work it out themselves. Whether they need a mediator or not it should be for them to decide, not for outsiders to decide.
Mr. Нимиц, thank you for this interview.
Yeah, thank you. Look forward to seeing you in person.